Coming to you from the Tar Heel State, this is the Carolina Commercial Real Estate Connection, bringing you industry insights and hot takes from Carolina real estate experts, helping you begin, grow, and scale your commercial real estate portfolio. And now your hosts, Tony Johnson and Cameron Pearson.
Cameron has been doing mortgages for years and years and years, and is now looking at getting a contractor's license. And so, Cameron, we were just talking about how it went with your test. How long have you been studying, and how'd that test go?
Test went fantastic. I'm not talking about this on air. I studied for like 16 years and didn't pass.
16 years of studying,
No.
But he was only 2 points away.
I was 2 points away. I ordered an online course, and I probably ran. It takes about 2 months to run through it unless you just go and digest the whole thing. And then I scheduled the test early. I wasn't showing the scores I needed on the practice exams, but I was like, whatever, I'm just going to go. And of course, the whatever cost me 2 points.
Yeah, but it's, you got to go and try these things and
Yep.
see. I mean, it's not like you have a limit. I think you can take it as many times as you want.
Yep.
So you got to go in there, take the test, see what you do know, what you don't know. And you get a good idea for when you go back. Most people don't pass it the first time. I think I passed it the first time by like 2 or 3 questions, and I can say I was there for almost the entire test. And I had been in the construction industry already for probably 3 years or so before I did it. So I had a whole lot more time studying than you and working and selling building materials. So I had a lot more versed education on it. So for you to get that close on your first round is very good. So, besides when you're getting the contractor's license, can you walk us through what it took to be able to take a contractor's license? What all did you have to do? So if somebody wanted to get a contractor's license, what are the first steps? So what did you do on the outset?
So you have to fill out an application for the state, and you send it to the state for them to approve you and have eligibility to actually take the test. I started by just sending in that information, but also ordering that class online. Once they give you permission to take the test, you have a year to do it. So I had plenty of time to study. I just decided, like you said, I was so new to it. All the new terms. There's a lot of things I didn't do construction before. Haven't done construction before in a formal setting. So a lot of the terminology, you're learning that as well as what they're looking for code and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a little bit of an uphill battle, but I figured if you jump in and just go, it's only $80 to retake the test. Now I understand kind of how the test is structured and what they're going to ask, and I'll get in there and kick its ass next time.
I believe that. Now on the test, what were some of the questions that were really popping out hard? Were they more of the calculation questions, or was it more of just deep in the details questions?
It was more deep in the details. So for example, how far should a girder, when it lands on a masonry setting, how much space do you need between it? And I think it's 5/8, but I put 3/8, because you start your brain.
Yeah, there's
just so much little things like that. So
right. So if you're not out there as a framer,
Yep.
you're that's not second, knowledge to you. So you're not going to know. So
Right.
There's a lot of minutia. You're never going to know everything. That's why you have the books that you keep around you when questions arise. There's constant, and then there's code updates and changes. So
well, in the real world, you have Google. You have all the information. So it's interesting to me that they still have you take tests without books, as
right.
if you would ever do that in the real world. So, if I was able to take some of the books in there, there's some books you can take, but it's just the code books. But the stuff with the minutiae, carpentry and all that stuff, I would rather have the book, because I could go and look it up just like I would do in the real world. But it is what it is.
Right. And a big thing to understand is when you're out actually working in the field, that's the testing, and they do want you to understand. I do think it's important to get that basic knowledge and understanding, and you're already well on your way with it. But what you'll find is when you're in the field, the subcontractors know their trades.
Mhm.
You just need to find good subcontractors that know the code requirements and do things per the code requirements. You're just back checking what they're doing. Also, the architects and the structural engineers, they're going to dictate how everything is done. So it's following the plans. The architect is going to put everything, detailed wise that meets the code requirements. You have to follow the drawings. So everything is kind of there for you as you go through the process on bigger jobs. Where you really need to know all the minutia and all these code items are on the smaller jobs.
Mm-hmm.
The smaller jobs, you don't get all of the detailed information from an architect. You might not have a structural engineer involved. So that's where you need to really know the code requirements, because you might just go in and you're doing an addition of some kind. You're just getting one wall section from an architect. You might not even get a structural drawing. Maybe you're just doing roof trusses. And, the architect called out the footing size, and that's pretty much it. So that's where you can really run into a challenge, and you need to know your stuff. On a larger job, a whole house, for instance, or a commercial building, these things have details, structural drawings and designs. So you're following all that. It's stamped by the structural engineer.
Mm-hmm.
You're just making sure everything is followed.
Yeah, that was one of the questions.
Oh, well, there you go.
At what point do you need a stamp from the structural engineer? It's a project over 90,000.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear that answer?
Yeah,
that was not one I got wrong.
That was not one he got wrong. So
that leads me to a question for you, though, in your business. So once you get that general contractor's license and you start doing this, how do you find the subs? Is it just more of a trial and error, and then it's like these guys are good, these guys are not? What did you do to start putting those chess pieces in place?
That's a great question. So what I did was with the places where I was trying to go work, I drove around and took notes of the subcontractors that were on there. So when I was starting out, I was trying to work in school systems and commercial projects. So I would drive around and see what subcontractors were out in the school systems working for other contractors. And when you see their truck at multiple stops, they're not just a one-off, that they're doing it. So when you consistently see a subcontractor's, van or truck at a job site, that's a good one. So you can get the big trades from that. And same thing with houses. So you go to a neighborhood. So if I drive through a production home neighborhood and I see a bunch of subcontractors information there, I know that they're a larger subcontractor. And then I go to renovations and see the subcontractor stuff on there. And then I know there's somebody that'll do the smaller jobs. So a lot of times what I would do is I would actually just go scout a job site. I'd go walk on that job site. I would walk up to the subs for whatever I was looking for, ask for their information, take a quick look at what they're doing, see if they can speak English, ask if they have insurance, stuff like that. And then it is some trial and error. So you will have, no matter what you do, you're going to have, being new, issues where subs are going to do bad work that you're going to have to pay to go redo and find somebody else to do it, which they're going to charge you 3 times what you paid originally to fix what somebody else already screwed up. So that's where you can really start to lose money fast in the beginning, that you've got to be careful of. So, it's never a bad idea to check some references on the person, right? Another thing is some of the smaller subs, when you're getting into new jobs, they want money up front, and then you can't give them much money up front, if any. Otherwise they don't show up. So, a lot of them, you pay them. If you pay them too much, then they're going to slow roll the job because they don't care if they already got your money, or they're not going to show up at all, and you're going to be chasing them. And other ones that you're going to get done, they're going to overbill what they've done and try and get more money than they've actually done work for. So you've got to be careful about that. And then other ones, they're going to bill you, you're going to pay before you realize that they completely destroyed and did it all wrong. So you're going to pay them. So those are kind of the first initial hurdles, but you'll learn fast because
it's money.
Yeah. So before you want to pay a sub, you want to make sure that they're not overbilling. You want to have them pass their inspection. So if it's a plumber or an electrician or something, they have to pass the rough-in inspection. Once they pass that rough-in inspection, then you know it's approved by the county. So then you can go ahead and pay them for that, right? And
Trust but verify.
Trust but verify. So that's a good thing. When you have a permit and you're doing a job properly, you know, the building inspector is actually your friend because he's making sure that the subcontractor, besides you, is following the drawing and following the code, right?
Right.
So he is your backstop. So the other thing you can always in the beginning do is if you're on a bigger project saying that you don't feel comfortable that you know exactly everything that's supposed to be done, you can call that building inspection department and just schedule a walkthrough. So maybe you're not ready for an inspection, but you want to ask the inspector, you're looking at this, is this really right? This doesn't look like it matches the drawings. Let me just schedule a meeting with an inspector. It might take you a couple of days and delay your job a little bit, but you can get him out there. He can walk the job with you. You show him your concerns. He'll tell you, hey, this is not right. This is right. This is not right. Now, a lot of that you should know, but in the very beginning, you're definitely not going to know that because you've never gone through it. So those are a couple quick tricks of things to do. Besides that, you can always ask the architect, send a picture to the architect, or if there's a structural engineer, just take a snapshot with your phone, email it to them and ask them if this looks right, if this is how they were interpreting it when they were drawing it, stuff like that. Besides that, there's certain nailing patterns for framing and stuff that you have to find. Yeah. The inspector will definitely know that. Yeah. Same thing with sheetrock and stuff. The biggest thing I found in the beginning, especially with remodels, is cutting corners. There's a lot of subs out there, and quite frankly, a lot of contractors out there that'll cut corners. So when you expose things, you want to make sure once it's exposed, it's there. You have to address it. Yeah. So whether your contract is a lump sum contract where it's your responsibility or it's a cost plus, you have to address those things. You don't want to ever expose something and then cover it up.
Cover it back.
So you have to address whatever you find. So even if it's losing money, trust me when I say you will lose way more money if you don't address it. You're going to lose way more money by loss of your reputation. One, things are going to normally come back up too. So let's say if you had water damage back in the wall and there's mold and you just decide to cover it up, that mold's going to resurface eventually because you didn't address it. Maybe you didn't address the problem. Maybe you just left it wet and covered it back up. Those things are going to come back through the wall eventually. Then it's going to be your reputation. It can be a lawsuit. It can be a claim on your insurance. It will come back to haunt you. So you have to address those things when they happen, and build reputation on doing the right thing, even if it costs you a little bit of money, especially in the beginning, because it's a learning process.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, that's a ton of information too on not just finding the subs, but what to expect. So I'm sure there could almost be a class set up on what you're going to walk into. But like most things in the world, you learn by doing. You want to have that basic knowledge like you're talking about, but once you get out there, every job's going to be different. There's going to be different issues that pop up here and there, and the more experience you have, like you do, you can see a lot more through the crystal ball on what's coming.
Yeah. So something else I would say is, so let's talk about structure. So you have gone through, let's say he's going to retake this test, and we'll update everybody to let him know that he did pass. And so Cameron will complete this, pass it, and get his license. I, by the way, just to be fully transparent, just tried my highway contractor's license test and completely bombed that. So, just to make him feel better.
Yeah, appreciate that.
I have to go back. I've just purchased an online class, so I don't do, so it's highways, railroads, infrastructure type stuff. So that's what I'm trying to retake: tunneling, boring. So, I'm trying to add to mine, but I also failed. So we're on the same boat, self-motivating each other to better ourselves. So let's go through what you've done now. This is your first time going through it now. Have you set up a corporation, or how are you getting your license for that?
Well, you don't really need a corporation to get your general contractor's license. It can run under your sole proprietorship if you choose to do so. I set one up just because that's how I want to start it. But of
Yeah, you
course,
definitely do not want to set it up as a sole proprietor. So
No.
yeah, okay.
But
So
you can.
but you can, but that's
Yeah.
the worst
Then you're
possible. Yeah, that you
all
did
on the hook.
not. No doing that. No doing that. So okay, so you've set up your company. So you've got your tax ID or your EIN. So that's all set up. Then you're going to, once you get that license, you become the qualifier for that company.
Yep.
So your license and your name, you become the qualifier for that company. So you're the general contractor qualifier for that company. So then that company is licensed to do work under you being the qualifier. Right. So you could be a partnership and have just one of you be the qualifier, but as long that person has to remain with the company for that company to be actively doing construction work, you have to have that qualifier on in the company. Okay.
Yep.
So we've got the company started. So what else have you put in place to prepare for getting going?
With really just kind of looking at opportunities already. So I'm looking at things that are popping up online and learning how to find deals and things like that. So I actually have already partnered with someone and put a deal under contract just so I could kind of see how that rehab's going to go. I'm not over there in any capacity being a general contractor. I'm more of a financial backing, but at the same time, I'm learning. So anything that I can do there to pull someone else in that has the experience is going to help me grow.
Yep, absolutely. So to get started on that first, so one, when you're getting the license, there's license structures, right? So you have a limited license, an intermediate, and an unlimited. This is for the state of North Carolina that we're talking about. South Carolina has, I think it's a 3 structure as well. I know theirs are different parameters, but I know they have a median. So you're just going through. North Carolina just changed. I think it's the limited's 500, the intermediate is like $1.5 million, maybe. Is that right? And the unlimited is that. So the South Carolina, it's again, I think it's just it might have a limited, then they have $1.5 million and an unlimited, but there's different structure on what is required to get that. So to get the unlimited, you need to have a lot of liquid capital that you have in place. And normally you're going to have to get some type of an audited financial statement. The limited, you're just going to need to put some money in the bank. It's probably $17,000 or $20,000, I think, or something.
I think it was that. I was actually, I used assets that were already in place, so I didn't have to, the unlimited was more expensive to take. And so I was like, I'll just do limited. I figured if you get the limited, you can start that's your learning. And I would hope some people would jump in and do over 500,000. I'm not going to do that. So
right.
Mine would be a start off,
and you can upgrade it at any time.
Exactly.
So it's not a big rush. So just getting that license, getting some experience is key. So let's talk a little bit more about getting going. So now get your license, you got everything set up. Where can you find opportunities? How do you find opportunities? How do you get business, right?
Well, it's really similar to kind of any other sales or commission based, is you want everybody to know what you're doing. So it's going to be about spreading the word on what I'm looking for, going to events of people that are doing what I'm trying to do so I can see who they know and what they know. And it's just a matter of getting yourself out there and really hunting that deal. The internet, I'm sure there's sites that you can go to that'll Crexy and that kind of things that you'll find deals, but the off-market deals are really the key. And as you did, Tony, like mailers, I think that's a huge way to kind of easily get your name out there. Whether you get the deal or not, the more mailers you have with your logo on it, the more times it's seen. So it's a good marketing and generating off-market leads.
Yeah. So Yeah, so you're talking a lot about doing stuff. So Cameron's focus is going to be on buying real estate, doing the construction in-house. So he's going, instead of farming out the general contractor, he's going to buy the real estate, be the general contractor, flip the house and sell it. So double dipping, as it would say. So he's basically going to double his profit margin if he's doing that. Maybe he goes in and does an addition on it. Maybe he just holds it and rents it. You know, he's setting himself up for that. And then maybe he'll do some contract work for others as he gets going, right? So you have to really define what's my path, where am I going to make money? So you can look at it. That's definitely one option, right? Going in, and that's a great option if you have capital. If you don't have capital and you just got enough, let's say, to get a license, and then you're going to need to get some revenue. So to look for potential work, you have, you know, the public sector and the private sector, right? And you have easiest way to start, just like with starting with real estate, is, you know, residential is the easier path in than commercial. Commercial is more difficult. So you probably need more experience. If you have no experience, definitely want to start with residential.
Yeah.
Right. So let's say we're coming in, we got our license, we're starting, and we're looking for opportunities. Great opportunity. One, you mentioned telling everybody what you do, networking. So that, and you're going to be starting to build a brand. So you can't be on Facebook taking pictures of yourself out drinking with your friends and doing a bunch of stupid things. You know, you have to come off as a professional. So that way, when you're posting on social media, you're posting about construction, things that you're looking at. You're telling people, here's what's happening with the construction industry. Do some research, post some, you know, things on social media showing that you have an understanding of construction, and is anybody looking? Here's what's going on. Here's a photo of something that we've done now. So anything that you've done, make sure you're taking good quality photos, not just a quick photo with your phone. Go get a professional camera, or find a friend with a professional camera and pay him a couple $100 to go take beautiful pictures of whatever you do, no matter how small it is. Anything that you do, make sure you have gorgeous photos, take a picture of it, and, you know, really promote anything you've done. And you can start with family and friends and just let them know, give them a steep discount, just to let you get an opportunity to get something done. So families and friends, great opportunity. Social networking, another great opportunity, right?
Absolutely.
So those could be anything, small little jobs, anything you can do. So remodeling somebody's kitchen, adding backsplash to somebody's, you know, and so let's say you just added backsplash to somebody's kitchen. You're going to take a beautiful picture of the kitchen, and maybe the kitchen's a little prettier because the backsplash, but somebody just sees the whole kitchen if it's a beautiful professional picture. And that's what you did. It's not really false advertising. You just said, look at what we've done here. Beautiful backsplash. You know, somebody's going to see the picture. Maybe they think you did the whole kitchen, but it's okay. But you're saying it's beautiful backsplash. So that's just a tiny job, and that gets you something. Then somebody else is trying to redo their kitchen. They think you did great. All of a sudden, maybe you have an opportunity. So that's one. You're talking about it, networking, going to, you know, builders association meetings and talking it up, and just promoting yourself. Other thing you can do is talk to other larger builders and see if you can potentially work under them to get some experience.
Yeah.
Doing little odds and ends for them that they can't find somebody to do. So maybe it's building a shower outside of a custom home that a builder's having trouble, somebody to build the shower. Then you work on just the shower for that builder, right? It gives you an opportunity to get some work when you have no work. Okay. Another thing you can do is look at local government opportunities. So they will post small jobs. You have, you know, HUD housing that's always looking for people to do work. It's not the most appealing work, but it's an opportunity to get some work. You can also, on the residential side, let's see. You got any other things you think about residential wise besides family, friends? So in the public sector with residential, it is kind of limited. So you have that. But I mean, even let's say you could go, even if it's commercial, but it's very minute, you've got stuff where they're doing sidewalk repairs, small things where you're getting one or two, you're just finding one, maybe two subcontractors. Sometimes it's three on a little job where you might need a roof repair to one of their buildings, right? And it's a residential style building and you need a roof repair. So you've got to get a framer to do some sheathing repair. Maybe you have some wet insulation that needs to be replaced. A piece of sheetrock needs to be redone and some shingles need to be redone. They're going to then get a GC to do that. And it might only be a $4,000 job, but hey, that's an opportunity. And then you build a relationship from there. If you do a good job, maybe they let you know of another one coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's part of the growth phase. I mean, you're going to be out, once you're starting to get those deals, one deal is going to translate into more and more and more. So it's all about finding that first deal, even if it's like you said, something super small. Get in the game. Yep. It keeps you busy anyway, and then your name's out there, and you're talking with builders, you're talking with subs, you're doing the things that you'll need to do. So.
Yeah, and those builders, like I say, if you do something for a builder, that gives you an opportunity. If these builders all talk, so if you do a good job for them, you're going to get referred for other opportunities, and it's just kind of getting inside the little circle of everything going on. And then while you're out there, you're meeting other subs, you're seeing if they're good quality subs, if they're showing up. So that builds you some opportunity for getting some sub networking through. So that's a great option to continue to get some, grip into the ground and get yourself going. Another thing I was thinking before I forget was when you're going out and starting that, what you don't want to do is become the laborer. So you don't want to go out and physically be doing this work. Your job as the general contractor is to find and grow your business. You want to find subs to do the work. You will not be successful long-term as a contractor if you're the one doing the work. You've got to have your hands full on marketing the company, doing financials, putting out estimates, doing all of these things to get your business going, because it's a one-man show in the beginning. So you have to, do so many jobs. You do not want to do the labor, right?
Yeah,
that's what you don't want to do.
No, that would not be a good career shift for me to go from banking to swinging a hammer. It's just not going to be the.
You talk about some crappy work. That would be if I'm doing the work, it's going to stink.
Yeah, the work would not be good. I will lose my job quickly.
Right. So we don't want to do the work ourselves.
Yeah.
So, let's look on the back end side. So let's say we've got some work now, in the beginning, it's just you. So you need to start with some type of a software that you can shoot out estimates and get financials. So when you have an understanding. So one easy one to start with is like QuickBooks Online. You could pretty much run your whole company in the beginning as a general contractor with QuickBooks Online. So just starting with that, it gives you an accounting software. The good thing about QuickBooks Online is when you get an accountant and they need to go in and see something, you don't have to download everything and bring it to them physically. They can remotely access everything and start going in and seeing your books. So one thing you want to do is try and have somebody help you set up and properly set up when you're doing this. So you're inputting things that make sense. You want to save receipts, save invoices. You can upload it and attach the invoice in QuickBooks. You want to be extremely organized as possible. You want to make sure you're keeping paperwork, keeping information, because what's going to happen is you're going to buy material for this job. And then 2 years down the road, the client might call you and say, well, where did you get this from? What brand was this? What color was this on the wall? Where did you get the paint? So the more records that you keep from the very beginning, when you don't have a lot to keep up with, the better. Then you want to create systems for keeping up and managing these things. You also want to understand how to write a contract with a client. So, you want to have a pretty decent contract, and you want to physically write and have all parties sign a contract, no matter how small the job is, especially in the beginning. So you're doing a $4,000 or $5,000 job. It's not a handshake. It's not just, okay, it's going to be $5,000. Great. Let me go. This is awesome. I've got a job. I don't want to take the time to ask for a contract. Get a contract, write the contract, go through DocuSign, have them sign it, or print it out. Both of you wet sign it, print out 2 copies, one for you, one for them, and make sure you have them initial every page. So In that, especially if you're doing a hard copy, you want to initial every page. So if there is ever an issue, they can't say, "Oh, no,
You
this
added a
page has been
page, yeah.
added," right? This wasn't in there and you've modified this. You want every page initialed. So if anything ever happens, you have their wet ink on every page, or a DocuSign, which is stamped on every page, right? That's critical when you're getting started. So I think this is a quick overview, right?
Yeah, I
from
mean,
the very beginning.
I think it'd be pretty cool as we go through this, as I go through the growth, we'll keep updating everybody on how it's going. And but yeah, man, it's a great way to start. And Tony, I really appreciate all the information you're going to bring, and you're one of the people I would leverage as far as knowledge on, contracts or anything else. So
not a bad idea to, find a good mentor, contractor friend, somebody that can help guide you to keep you from making those mistakes. Or if you feel uncomfortable about something and your radar's going off, just make a quick call to someone. Nobody, you can always call me, whoever you are out there listening. You can call me and ask me a quick question about this or that to make sure you're not getting yourself in trouble. There's the last thing you want to do is put yourself in a compromising position where you could ruin your career. You can get yourself out of business. You don't want to ever do something. A lot of people in the very beginning are tempted to do jobs. They need to do them quick. They want to do them quick. They don't want to take the time to do a job that's not permitted. That's the biggest mistake probably in the very beginning for contractors. You do not ever do a job that's supposed to be permitted, not permitted, because the homeowner wants to get it going quickly. You don't want to lose the job. You want the opportunity. You need the money. Doesn't matter. You've got to go through the proper steps and do it the right way. So we'll do a deeper dive in and continue to talk through this and go through it as Cameron's going through it. And even I'll discuss going through my highway contractor's license so we can kind of get everybody on board. If you want to talk to me or Cameron further about it or get more of an understanding, reach out to us anytime. Our contact info is within the podcast, and we look forward to talking to everybody again sometime soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening, guys.
Have a great day.